Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to your 30-minute morning Pilates class. If you are new to my class, we do a little bit more of an intense class, but I mean, you got to start somewhere. Okay, so let's roll ourselves down onto our backs and we'll begin. So as always, start with just a simple spinal twist, knees in, drawing some circles on the ceiling with our knees. So lower to the right, looking away from your knees. Same thing to the other side, lower to the left, looking out over your right fingertips. When you're ready, however you choose to, we're going to make our way up and over onto our hands and knees. So beginning with your cat-cows, arching, rounding your back. And then push it back into child's pose, reach your fingers forward. All right, from here, bring it forward. Step your left foot forward, sinking into a lunge. Oh, is my head cutting off? Good. So lift the arms up and back. Inhale, lift the arms up as we exhale. Bring the hands down to the mat. Walk your hands 1, 2 back, 1, 2 forward. 1, 2 back, 1, 2 forward, and then walk it back and hold here. Move the hands back, put the heels down, pull the toes towards the shins, and lift your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Come forward, arm to the inside of the leg, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and step your front foot back. Push the mat away from you, and nice and slow, you're going to start to bring your knee in, out, in, out. 1, 2, 1, 2 last ones. 1, 2, 1, 2. Toes to the mat, knees to the mat, child's pose. Come forward, counter stretch, upward dog. Push back. And then let's step opposite foot forward. So again, sink into your lunge. Lift the arms up and back. Inhale as we exhale, release the hands onto either side of the foot, and then walk 1, 2 back, 1, 2 forward. Hold here, dig the heels down. Lift the tailbone up towards the ceiling. And then move the arms to the inside of the leg. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Shift the weight forward, step your front foot back. Push the mat away from you, and then once again. 1, 2, 1, 2. For 4, 3, 2. Last ones. Toes to the mat, knees to the mat, child's pose. Let's come forward and lower all the way down onto our stomachs. Take a moment here, figure out how you like to rest, what feels comfortable. So mainly deciding if you prefer to rest with your hands stacked, with your arms, hands stacked, your head resting on your hands, or with your arms long beside you. So either or, bring the heels towards the glutes, anchor the pelvis down to the mat, and float everything up. Straighten the legs if you want to. You don't have to. Just see how your back feels. Make sure you're squeezing your glutes here, especially when we lift up higher. Make sure we're anchoring the pelvis. You're pulling the belly button up into the spine, and you're giving your glute that squeeze. And then lower down, resting however you choose to. Arms come out. Right heel towards the butt. Bring the right hand around to grab a hold of your foot. Push your foot into your hand and float your knee and your thigh up off the mat. So if I'm lifting my right leg, I want to make sure that my left hip is staying anchored to the mat. Inhale as we exhale. Switch sides. Left heel towards your butt. Bring your left hand around to grab a hold of your right foot, or left hand around to grab a hold of your left foot. Push your foot into your hand. Float your knee and your thigh up. Inhale. Exhale, release. Elbows wide, stack your hands, rest your chin or your forehead on your hands, and move your invisible tail side to side. Okay, heels towards the glutes, arms long beside you, bring your knees as wide as you need to reach around and grab a hold of your feet. Once you get your feet, bring your knees close. They don't touch, but we want our feet closer than wider. Anchor your hips. So we float up from here, knees stay close. Push the feet into the hands, squeeze the glutes, and send everything up and back. Inhale and release however you choose. All right, push yourself back into child's pose. Transition into a seated position, legs out in front of us. And then flex your feet. You probably want to move a bit of butt out from under you. And come into your fold. Remember, we flex our feet, toes point up towards the ceiling, and you are looking down at your knees, reaching your arms back. Bring the arms out nice and slow. Start to lower. Just where I am here. So we're lowering. Inhale, arms all the way back. Exhale, lift. Remember to not let your hands drop. Keep your wrists lined up with your shoulders. The rolling up is a little bit more important than the roll down. Okay, so let's pause on our tailbone. Bring one foot flat. Bring your other foot flat, keeping your wrists lined up with your shoulders. One leg comes in. We lower, same thing on the other side. Leg comes in, lower. Leg lifts up, toes reach up, shoulders heavy, down as we lift our chest and pull our belly in. Lower the leg, bring it back. Bring your knee in, reach your toes up as the shoulders go down back, belly in, chest up, lower, bring it back. Hand down, side to side. Fingers point either to the heels or to the sides of the mat. You probably want to move your heels a bit of ways away down. You usually need to. Just adjust real quick here. And lift. You aim to get your shoulders over your wrist, your knees over your heels. And you don't want to leave an arching in your back. You're going to tuck your tailbone. Tilt your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Okay? And then looking at the ceiling as you pull your belly button in and dig at the heels. So you're doing this in particular for the stretch across the front of the hips. Inhale, and then back to the mat. Give yourself a little push forward. As you reach back, you want to feel that counter stretch. Arms out in front of you, nice and slow. Start to lower. You don't do this little shimmy that I'm doing. I'm just doing it to make room. Okay, back onto our tailbone. Bring one foot back. Bring the other foot back. So just straighten the leg up. Shoulders down and back as we lift up the chest. Slowly lower. Bring your foot back. Same thing. Float it up. Shoulders heavy and back. Lower. And a lift. Okay, hand down, side to side it. And now bring it back out onto your tailbone. Bring one leg up. Bring the other leg up. Shoulders heavy and plugged in. Bring the knees in, chest in. So let's lower the feet, lower the hands, lift. Float the left leg up. Lower. Float the right leg up. Lower down, bring your butt down. So keep the setup of your feet in your hands. Remember that when you're setting up, you usually will have to pull the knee in a little bit closer to your face to get it to go up over top of your head. So when we do it here, right? If I just lift and keep it here, it doesn't end up over the hips. So as you're lifting, the little trick is to bring it in a bit, usually a bit more than you need to, so that your knee ends up over your head. Okay, so let's do that one more time, and we'll lift from here now, okay? So let's just float the heel up, get the heel in line with the knee, and then when we push into our hands and our heels, pull the knee back a little bit so it ends up over your head. Lower down. So, float the heel up, dig into your heel, bring the knee in, lower down, one more each side. Float it up, pull the knee in a bit, this time lower, lower. Float your heel up, bring your knee in, lower, and lower. Okay, give yourself a little push forward, reach back, and then let's lower all the way down this time. Bring the heels back to your middle fingers and move the arms a bit of ways away from the body. So keeping the back anchored to the mat. Nice and slow. Let's start to peel up from the tailbone. So vertebrae by vertebrae lift and vertebrae by vertebrae lower. Vertebrae by vertebrae lift and lower. You want to make sure that you are maintaining that imprint pelvis that we create by anchoring our low back down to the mat. You want to keep this as we lift up. Okay, so we're lifting. And remember, it's always more important with the lift, not so much the lower. And lower. Learn to position your feet in that particular way where we don't feel our knees or our low back. You're going to adjust where your big toes point. You're going to think about where your knees need to be and maybe move your heels. And we're doing this again with that lift to create that stretch across your hips, help release. It's kind of like a strengthening, releasing stretch for your hips. Okay, lower down, both of your knees in. Bring your right leg long, anchor your heel. I don't know if I'm going to fit all in. So anchor your heel, right? And then take a moment bringing your opposite knee out towards the underarm and in towards the mid-thigh. I usually cue to move your knee in some sort of arcing movement. Think of either a smile or a frown, like a rainbow or like a pendulum swing. It's the way that you're moving your knee. You want to do it slowly and gently. And then reach the toes up to the ceiling, elbows up to the side. Use a bit of arm strength to bring the leg in towards you. Create a deep stretch here, right? Make this fairly uncomfortable so that when you release, that isn't quite so bad. All right, set up your leg circle arms. You need to be able to absorb any weeble wobblage of your body with your fingertips, is how I would usually describe it. So first of all, the knee needs to start over the hips. Mine's past the hip. It doesn't need to be there. Right? It at least has to be here. Right? So you don't want to be out here. If you need to, bend your leg as much as you need to get that knee over your hip. And then just make sure your knee doesn't roll up to the side or roll in. We don't want an internal or external rotation of your leg here. You just want it facing behind you. Okay, so start to draw a little circle on the ceiling. With the knee rolling out of your toes or your knee. And learn to push into your arm so that your body doesn't weeble wobble. Flex the foot that's out, the leg that's extended long on the mat, flex that foot. If you absolutely need to, you could be working with your foot flat, but that is a fairly big modification. It kind of changes the exercise. So if you can, have your opposite leg long on the mat, try to do that. And think about pressing into the fingertips, anchoring with the shoulders each time you go around with your leg. You are also tensing up your core and holding it, right? Don't let your shoulders tense up, but you are, I usually describe it, it's not the nicest way of describing it, but I cue tensing up like you're anticipating a punch to the stomach, how you would react, what you do for that. And then just bring your shoulders out of it. And that's how you want to keep your core when you do leg circles. So let's pause and go the opposite way. When you switch ways, you need to start small again and work your way up to it. We favor depth over width here. There's only so wide you can go before you start to weeble wobble. And if you are getting a little bit bigger with them, remember that we don't fight through hip clicks. If your hip is starting to click, you're maybe letting your toes or your knee roll out. You are maybe going a bit too big too soon, or you might have to keep a bit of a bend in your leg. 3, 2, and 1. Knees in. Get out. And in. Do a water sip. Okay, opposite leg. So bring the opposite knee in towards the chest, bring your knee out towards the underarm, in towards the midline. Remember, we are drawing with a bit of an arcing movement to our knee. Okay, releasing, starting to draw your circles on the ceiling. Whatever you're drawing with, it's got to be over top of your head, right? Or in past fine, but you just don't want to be out here, right? You don't want to draw your circles out there. That's too much. It's going to make your back arch. So bend your leg as much as you need to get your knee over your hip and start to do your circles. Don't allow your leg to externally rotate. The knee should not be pointing out to the side. The knee faces the back of the mat, faces behind us. And you are learning to use the arms to stop the body from weeble wobbling. You tense up your core while keeping your shoulders anchored, and you use your arms to stop your body from weeble wobbling. Oh, I knew I kicked something. All right, let's pause, go the opposite way. And when you go the opposite way, we start small again, we work our way up to it. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knee into the chest. Okay. We'll start with our feet flat. Move your feet a bit of ways away down the mat. If we're not doing glutes, we don't need the heels up here. If we're doing glutes, you actually want your feet a bit further away down the mat, right? To challenge this area. If you bring your heels right up close, your heels do a really good job of locking all this in place, so your core doesn't have to work a whole lot. We don't want that out. That's why keep your heels moved down the mat. But still be able to touch your big toes to the floor. Okay, interlace the fingers where the head meets the neck. So it is your core, not your hands, your core that lifts your head, neck, and shoulders up and down, right? I can do this without my hands needing to be there because it's not my hands that are doing it. It's my core. Your hands are there to help your neck a bit. Not really with the lift. It's almost more like a catch when you lower. And this is the big one. When we're lifting the head, neck, and shoulders up, don't look forward. That will usually drop the chin too much and add a bit of compression to the back of the neck, which you don't want. So keep that fist length between the chin and the chest and watch that the shoulders aren't coming up by the ears, that you're maintaining the length in the neck. A bit of roundness in the shoulders, fine, just not right up by your ears. Okay, so you exhale up, inhale lower. Add your leg movement in, bring one knee at a time up over top of your hip. And stop your knee over your hip. Don't bring them in past the hip. That makes it, again, a bit too easy on the lower abdominals. These are 90-degree angle legs. They should be 90-degree angles. Okay, so let's pause. Next time both of our feet are flat. Lift the head, neck, and shoulders up. And anchor that low back to the mat. Belly button pulled down to the spine. Let's get rid of any daylight between the small of the back and the mat. Bring one leg up into tabletop. Bring the other leg up into tabletop. Okay, so you can touch the insides of the feet in. No, actually, that's a lie. Let's keep a bit of space in between them, so knees over your hips. Make sure, look at your thighs. You don't see your calves and your heels, unless it's hard for you not to arch your back off the mat here. Then you might need to bring your knees in a bit. Your heels might need to lift up a bit. That's fine. If you're making that modification, then yes, I see my calves and my heel. If you're not modifying, you shouldn't see them. Okay, so let one leg at a time drop. We lower and we lift. These have to stay slow. When you drop your heel, this is when your body wants to arch the back, wants to do this, right? But then it's your back doing the work and not your lower abdominal. So make sure, especially when you drop, that your low back does not arch off the mat. And maybe you modify here. Maybe you've got the heels lifted and the knees in a bit closer, and maybe you're only lowering halfway. That's fine if that's how you need to modify. So figure out what toe taps look like for you. How do you modify? Don't let them roll out. Don't let your back lift off the mat. And if you're not modifying, you don't see calves and heels. If you wanted to make it a bit more challenging, extend that leg all the way out, just to hover. And remember, watch. It's when the leg goes out, that's when the back wants to arch. That's when you're going to really feel the lower abdominals. Shoulders will try to come up right up by the ears, so remember, maintain that length in your neck. Okay, knees in. Reach the toes up. Arms long beside us. Set up your leg circle arms. Move the arms a bit of ways away from the body. And remember, when both of our feet are in the air, we don't let our back arch off the mat. So we're going to separate the feet, start our double circles, right? We're drawing 2 circles on the ceiling with the toes. Now, start to notice when you like to use your arms. When do you push into your fingertips? Is it more when you're lowering, or is it when you're lifting? I feel like I push a little bit more when I'm lifting, but I do push when I'm lowering as well. And when your heels are dropping, that's when your back wants to lift. Make sure it doesn't. Make sure you do not arch your back off the mat. Belly button is pulled in, shoulders and low back anchored. Whatever way you're going, let's just pause. Start to think about, when do you have one big giant leg versus 2 skinny legs? So pause for a second when the feet are touching. Okay, we're gonna lower our big giant leg, separate the feet, lift your 2 skinny legs, touch, lower, separate, lift, touch, lower, separate, lift, touch. And then we're going to switch that up as well. So again, we'll pause when our feet are touching up top. Now we're going to separate, lower, touch, lift. Remember when we're doing these that you don't want to go too deep and you don't want to go too wide. If you do, you will tire too quick, too soon. Okay, 2 more. And last ones, knees in. Take a second, draw your circles, sneak you water. Bring your knees into your chest. Shoulders down away from the ears. Even here, I've got my fist length between my chin and my chest. Arms come up and over, head is nice and heavy in the hands. And start to curl your knees in and release. So noticing that the knees don't go back out over top of the hips. The whole point of this, whole name of the game, is to keep them in close to your face. And then lift the heels up. So holding here nice and slow. We curl and hold and release. Curl and hold and release. And remember, it's that hold that's important because that's where you do the foot switch, right? I curl and hold and release. So let's think again about our big giant leg and our two skinny legs. I have my big giant leg. I'm going to do a tailbone curl up. I'm going to hold and I switch to two skinny legs. Lower, not too deep though. Touch, nice and slow. I lift, I slowly curl up, switch to two skinny legs, and low. And then again, switch it. So now our feet are touching. We're lowering our big giant leg, separating, lifting, touching. Lower, separate, lift, touch. Watch your shoulders. Neck is nice and long. All right, last ones. Touch and lower knees in. Okay. Up and over onto our hands and knees. So now that your core is really sort of fired up and turned on, take a second to create a nice deep stretch in your upward dog. This is exactly why I like to do upward dogs because they really create a good counter stretch exactly where you need it. So arms out, come forward, shoulders a little bit past your wrist so that when you drop your hips and roll your shoulders back, now everything is stacked. Push the mat away from you, pull the belly in. It's not so much about squeezing your butt. Some of you might have to, I don't really squeeze too much. And then knees to the mat, push it back. All right, let's bring the right foot forward. Bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand. And make sure that you're not in square legs. Square legs is when your back thigh is on an incline. So if you feel like you look like this, don't move your front foot or hands. Keep them set up, but just move that back knee a little further back so that you get your nice deep stretch. And then turn the toes and the knees out a bit. Try to come down into your forearm. Because you're at home, use whatever you have around. Something this height is great to use when you're doing a pigeon, not a pigeon, a lizard, right? So to see it this way, set up here and to come into this. Not everyone can get down onto their forearms and do this version of it. So if you needed to, this is when things like this work great. Right? And now you don't have to get so deep into your back. Remember that lizards and pigeons aren't for everyone, especially if it's a back thing. Like if you're feeling your back, first of all, that's never great, but we don't do pigeon and lizard stretches to open the back really. So if you are feeling that, that's when you'd want to do something like this, which we don't always have access to in a gym, so that's fine. Working out at home works well. All right, let's put this there again. Now, no matter what version of lizard you're doing, we're going to tuck our back toes, lift the back knee, shift the weight forward, step the front foot back. And remember, you want to bring your shoulders slightly past the wrist, push the mat away from you as you tuck your tailbone under you. Inhale, knees to the mat, child's pose. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So bring your other foot forward, sink into your lunge. So make sure that your wrist and your foot line up, and then maybe come down onto one forearm, maybe lower down onto two. And if you do come down onto your forearms, then it should at least still be your elbows lined up with your foot. It's either obviously your wrist or your elbows that line up with your foot. Tap the back toes, lift the back knee, shift the weight forward, step that front foot back, knees to the mat, child's pose. All right, when you're ready, transition into a seated position. And really whatever position is comfortable to end in. I usually do a cross-legged position. Sometimes it feels a bit weird on my ankle, so I've been favoring this kind of position as of late. Okay, so fingertips out into either side of your body. Flip your right palm. Bring your right arm up and over. Remembering you want your right hip to stay on the mat. Roll the pinky side of your hand down. Guide your shoulder slightly back. And try to keep your top arm straight. It is a bit of a deeper stretch. Lift up. Right hand to the left knee. Left fingertips behind us. Inhale to lengthen. And exhale to twist. Come back to face center. Flip the palm. Bring your opposite arm up and over. So aim to keep your arms straight as best as we can. And then lift up. Bring your hand to your knee. Bring your other hand behind you. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to twist. And then come back to face center. Bring your hands behind you. Bring your feet flat. Let your knees flap around to the left and to the right. And there we go, everyone. That is class for your Wednesday morning. So good job. Good work. Good for you for getting up and working out in your living room on day 22 of isolation. All right. Good work, everyone. I hope you're sore tomorrow in all the right places.